I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
And welcome to the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, season 32, episode 21. My name is Kimmy.
Hello, I'm Alex.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Jason.
And in today's episode, everything's fine, by the way, Karaku from New Zealand wants advice on designing a game space for teens. Tom wants to attend more cons and run con games more successfully.
Same.
And Turlin asks what to do when the party starts caring about the BBEG.
But they would never.
Who does that?
Oh,
Oh
I
my.
chose the right podcast to come on.
If you'd like to contribute a question or story to the show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. Announcements. Our game days is happening November 4th. So if you want to join the Discord at happyjacks.org/Discord, it's a day of people from the community running all sorts of games. There's I think 3 or 4 posted already that you can go and sign up for. It's totally free. Anybody can run anything. We usually have this wild assortment of strange and different games, which are super fun. And if you ever want to try something weird, there's always something weird. So go ahead, and that's going to be November 4th. It's all day. It's a Saturday event, and usually kind of bleeds into Friday and Sunday because of time zones and such things. So yeah, check that out. And again, November 4th. And our Indie Designer of the Month for October is Monroe Wells Soto, they. And you can find their games at monroe.itch.io, which is, it makes me smile every time I say it.
Monroe Row.
Monroe Row. monroe.itch.io. Or Eldritch Crow on Twitter. The game that we're talking about this week is very dear to my heart. It's called Beneath the Canopy. And it is an Over the Garden Wall inspired 1 to 3 player journaling game. And if you don't know what Over the Garden Wall is, you should go find it because it's amazing. It's whimsical horror. It's fantastic. And I'm obsessed with it and I love it so much. So anyway, it uses the Major Arcana Tarot deck, which Over the Garden Wall and tarot game, like for me. You explore these strange woods in an attempt to go home, or you lose all hope and fall to the beast. The game does a great job of channeling the atmosphere of the inspiration and allows you to play in a fun space of something's not quite right, creeping, building into this sense of horror, while also being full of whimsy, which doesn't seem like it would go together, but watch Over the Garden Wall and you'll get it. And this game does a really great job of capturing that in a very really neat way. It's usually $15, but it's on sale right now for $7.50 on monroerow.itch.io. Monroe.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Go to monroerow.itch.io. Okay, I'm done with the rhyming things. But anyway, go find that game because I'm so excited about that game, and I love that. Garden Wall, so good.
It's so good.
So good. Okay.
I will begin with mailbag number 1.
Perfect.
Kia ora, Jack-a-snipes, jackalopes, jackanapes, jackboots, jackasses, and jacks of all other happy and dodgy origins. It is I, Kairaku, emerging from the digital shadows to plague the court with context and questions. First, the context. Currently, we have CapCon, an annual TTRPG convention held in Wellington, New Zealand's capital every February. Within said hive of scum and villainy, we have Adventure Zone for ages 6 through 12 on the Sunday of the convention. It is in place so the next generation can be inculcated into their initial forays into role-playing. We've actually had kids as young as 4 join the fun. Oh, the fun of teaching the youth with pretty, clicky, clacky math rocks. I've run a couple sessions of Cat RPG that has been well received by our troupe of young creatives. Several of these kids are now getting past Adventure Zone, and we merrily fling these callow youths into general gameplay, where we try to find them age-appropriate games to join or run. Discussions were had, and my very own urchin stabbed her own man in the back by volunteering me to set up a teen section at the next CapCon focused on the 13 to 17 age group.
Nice going, kid.
Yeah.
And while I am no mere hedge mage, filled with naught but frippery, I thought it best to cast my net somewhat further than myself and perfidious child to come up with some ideas about this new endeavor. So, forthwith, on to my questions. 1. Do you think it is generally a capital idea? In an era when we should be embracing diversity, is it a good idea to shut the goblins in a space where we can better tailor the experience to their needs and social forces? Children seldom misquote. In fact, they usually repeat word for word what you shouldn't have said. 2.
Let's maybe
Yeah.
address these before we go all the way
yeah,
through.
let's do that one.
Children should never be allowed to play roles. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing the heel.
So this is kind of a should children play with adults?
Or
Or
should
should we
they-
have them play in that 13 to 17 age separately?
Yeah, I think this is like, should they have an age group appropriate thing?
Because it seems like it was like 6 to 12 or the adult games. And this is like, what if there was a middle space, and asking if that's good at all. Which, yes.
I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, I definitely think so too.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we separate 3rd grade from 6th grade, because they're developmentally different and do different things and need different things from their experiences.
Yeah.
That's
And also there's
you go.
there's nothing to say that like a 16 or 17-year-old wouldn't be allowed to necessarily join a like adult group if it was appropriate and if they were comfortable, but I just got the honor of talking to Zach Clay, who runs a lot of D&D clubs for middle and high schoolers in San Francisco, and he spoke really well to the fact that like kids especially of that age are learning a lot of like social graces and mores and morals that are better suited to like learning within their own age group with a guide. And so I think it's a great idea. Helps you learn things and develop that squishy little brain. So
Absolutely.
eh,
Also, like some adults are really creepy, and like more than like keeping the kids away from the adults. Like there's definitely an element of keeping the adults away from the kids and
Yeah.
underage kids. And I'm not saying that would happen specifically at your con, but that's something you should always give the youths a choice to not have to engage with that, because a lot of them don't have the tools to do that appropriately. A lot of adults don't have the tools to do that
Yes.
appropriately. So putting them in a situation where they're sitting at a table where they're being made to feel uncomfortable, and they won't know what to do. So I'm not saying that won't happen with peers and people their own age range, but they are more prepared to handle that, and it's something that they're more familiar with in their daily lives. So I think that's a capital idea.
All right. Number 2. Is a rose by any other name a sweet? And what are some suggestions as alternates to these names that smell somewhat of corpse
naming things.
Name.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no.
Teen Zone,
No,
Imagination Alley,
maybe.
Epic Odyssey Nexus, Labyrinth of Legends, and Mystic Meeting Grounds.
Okay. So we have to think about the acronym.
That's true. That's true.
Forever. Forever
EON.
and forever.
Eon's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. League of Legends and Labyrinth of Legends.
it's too close.
Yeah.
It's
Especially if they're
dangerous.
in that age range. If you
Yeah.
have like a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like League's like too old for them though. They're all playing Fortnite.
I think that's why it's bad. Is
Oh, okay,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, oh, what is that old person
Yeah,
game
yeah,
that you're
yeah.
trying to tie this into?
Yeah, they definitely
Depends
like,
on the type of kid who's,
Yeah.
who's playing, certainly.
Yes.
MMG's kind of got a good ring to it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. MMG's pretty good. I wonder if there's something using the LFG acronym. I guess you don't want to step on that too bad, but
Yeah.
like, that could be something.
Yeah.
I like that you have Adventure Zone. I feel like moving up a step from Adventure Zone is kind of nice.
Yes.
But not to Teen Zone, because teens don't want to do something in a Teen Zone.
If
Yeah.
you were like, come to the teen zone, I would fling you into the sun
Yeah.
at
Yes.
15. Like,
Yes.
I would be gone.
Yeah.
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 But if you're moving out of the zone and into like the map or the journey or the battlefield or like
Zone of Struth.
Jason's terrible at naming things still.
what is truth?
That's an old English term.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
Let me look it up so I define it correctly.
What's a slight downgrade from adventure? Like, what is the thing that you do that's just a
Errand?
little like a jaunt? Chores.
Oh, it's used as a mild oath. It's short for God's truth.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Funny.
Ruth's like
That's
Zounds.
pretty wild.
Yes, truth.
Maybe we should brew on the names while we
We could, yeah.
think about
Sure.
the next question. Okay. A chessboard is but a battleground of squares. So how should we construct our field barrack for teen-led adventures, either with grown-up supervision or in their own space, or grown-ups as heralds, GMs, storytellers, and DMs, or as games on demand? That's well received in the main convention, or should we do some Frankenstein's Prometheus of the above? And kind of a follow-up to that, like Adventure Zone, should we restrict it to but a single day of the revelry or straddle multiple days?
Oh, like a single adventure that would straddle multiple days.
I think like having that zone only exists for one day or for the whole
Oh.
con. I think that you should base on how much participation you're getting and interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to have a really busy single day thing than have it like very sparse and kind of
Yeah.
like
You
I
don't
know-
want
just-
GMs waiting.
yeah.
I know it would suck to have people come back the next week and be like, "Oh, you're not doing it," but then you have to think ahead to next year, right? If you have a really busy day and not everyone got to do it, and then there's demand.
Yeah.
But having a big open thing for 3 days that like 3 people showed up to and then left, and then 2 people showed
Yeah.
up later, and like, oh, but if they had just showed up during this 6-hour period on this one time where everyone knew this was the only opportunity to do it, it would have been compressed a little
It can
bit.
be dangerous to give teens options.
Yeah.
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 Paralysis of choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say do it for one day unless you have a bunch of pre-reg stuff and like you have a very clear need to like start moving it. Fill one day up and then open the next day. Don't.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
if you have pre-reg, you could
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm assuming it seems like it's a pretty big con. And most of them
Yeah.
have that. So
I'm also, for the initial, should you have teens leading adventures or GMs, kind of open to both, but I actually like the idea of still having some adult-led adventures.
Yes.
While also just like letting the players know that if they're very interested in volunteering with the con or starting to lead some adventures, this is a great way for them to get experience doing that.
Yeah. Maybe the adults would be like con adults.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Sorry, I think I just stepped on you. Okay.
I feel perfectly unruffled.
Okay. Can I tell a slightly off-topic story?
Sure.
Yeah.
oh, wait, let me do one more thing because
Kimmy looks worried.
yeah, a little. That's okay. It's fine. You're a teacher, so I know it'll be appropriate.
Uh-huh.
I just am worried how off topic it'll be.
It's not that off-topic. It's short.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, the other thing is if they get free badges, you might have a lot more
yeah.
interest from teenagers who
Yes.
are generally short on cash. So that might be a thing to kind of like push if you're. And I agree. Like having a mix of adult and teen GMs would be awesome. That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Make sure there's adults in the area.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Sorry.
was thinking about the acronym situation, and that I recently was dealing with a group. I'm not going to say what the name of it is, but it was their abbreviation would be FFP. Okay, but they spelled the middle one, which is the word 4, with the number 4. So it was F, the number 4, P. Does anyone know what that looks like
Not great.
written out?
Yes.
Immediately, everyone in this room says, that spells FAP.
Yep.
That's not what I thought.
Oh,
I
okay.
think what I thought of was worse. So.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Oh, okay. Yeah, I also understand that as well. And that was just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. So it was, I was agonizing over like, do I need to tell the organizers because I don't think they know, and this is like a serious, like a austere organization that is like needs respect and is around teenagers.
Yeah.
Right? And then in recent missives, they've been writing FFP. And I was like,
So
yes.
smart.
Somebody told
Oh,
them.
somebody said, oh, okay, thank God. Somebody showed this to a teenage boy. Great.
Yeah.
He immediately laughed.
Yes.
I actually want to shout out Bumbletrue in chat said misadventure, and I kind of like the
Oh.
misadventure zone
Sure.
or like misadventure as a bit of a step up for teens.
Sure. Yeah. That's good.
That is fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Number 4. My youths are all autistic, so my experience with advertising to the teens of today is somewhat skewed. Any thoughts on the best way to get the message out there to say, come on, come one and come all and have a ball of fire in a confined space and in our collective imaginations?
You just said it.
That was great.
That was really good.
No actual balls of fire will be supplied or endorsed. Are school notice boards still a thing?
No.
No. I mean, they probably are at the school, but they don't really usually let people put things from the community.
And the
or
students don't
anything.
use them.
Yeah, they don't. Use
Yeah. Maybe a Facebook event or something of the like.
them. That'll get their parents to
But
To
know
that's
tell the
about it.
parents?
Yeah, tell the parents.
Yeah.
Facebook's. I mean, the teens, they're getting back on Instagram. They love Instagram.
Sure.
If you could make a TikTok for
Yeah,
it.
TikTok is gonna be the
TikTok will
thing.
get you, but like you've gotta really commit to that.
Yeah, it's so much work.
Yeah, and I feel like what you need is just a still, like a poster
Yeah.
for your thing, and Instagram is like so good.
Put the
for that.
hashtags
Yeah.
on it. Instagram pushes things to people's feeds these days. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if you just took one video of like, you put the photo in and then you flip through some game books and you say, we're running, for this age group, please come to this day of the con.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
will do great on Instagram too.
Yeah. I think though, like even with social media, I think your biggest thing is going to be word of mouth or word of internet, as it were.
Yeah.
Like people on the internet who see it and share it with the people they know, or copy it and send it to specifically their friends. You might want to check out, like if there are spaces where there's communal play happening already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's probably like teens these days again love playing D&D. It's like every time a club gets opened, it immediately gets totally filled. So any
Yeah.
local schools that have D&D clubs
Yeah.
just like drop off some posters with the teachers.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know you're in New Zealand. I'm not sure what the library situation is like in
Sure.
the area that you're talking about, but there are a lot of local library clubs, especially
New Zealand
for...
has great public libraries.
Yeah.
I was just there in the spring.
So, like, some posters to the library, let them know. Maybe even figure out if the con has any connection to, like, renting books from libraries or stuff like that. I just know there's very robust programs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, suggestion in the chat, asking some teens. This is a great idea. Like, teens who you know are already interested. Presumably you have a handful who want to do this, and that's why you're setting this all up. They might have some they probably have some great ideas that would be appropriate.
Yeah. When I was part of a collegiate tabletop gaming group back in college my freshman year, one of the things that actually got me into playing tabletop role-playing games is that we had a first-time GM event that we would put on.
Ah.
So anyone who had GM'd before had this day that was set up where people who had played before, even like new players, would come, and it was like they got tools, they got pre-made adventures that were set up for them to run games for the first time. So I do maybe like the idea of saying, this is a first-time player event as well, if you're not just trying to get the like kids who are graduating up, saying like your first time playing D&D might be a good way to open it to a younger audience without saying this is for the youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time player. Even if you do put an age on the door, it's still like, yeah.
I would say, I mean, maybe this is a terrible idea. Like, I'm sort of like, how much of me is being a very uncool teacher right now? But what if they did like a naming competition? Like, to name the zone?
You're going to get Gamey McGame face, but I'm not opposed to it.
But like, they'd be able to pick
It's
the
their
winner.
own fault, and it gets some
Let
buzz
them
around
vote
it.
out of a few.
Yeah. Like vote to get the top choices, and then like the con could pick which one actually won.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that way you have like when I have my students vote every year on our class rules. And it's like, okay, we're going to narrow it down to a bunch, and then I'll pick the ones that are the best. And somehow magically it's always all the ones I want.
Yeah.
They all vote and they feel very engaged.
Incredible. So it's just like the American voting system.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
No, do not disengage from that. Everyone vote. That
everybody
is
vote.
a very off-color joke on my part.
Oh, I feel so disenfranchised.
I mean, yeah.
But also-
But anyway, then if you have a bunch of teens like all submitting ideas, going to a place to vote, and then whoever wins gets like a badge or a pair of badges so they can bring a friend or a date, that might be something that motivates them and gets the word out more about it. Even if you end up with Connie cotton face. I don't know.
On that note, number 5 is prizes. Well, every good tourney is expected to have them, and we do have prizes in the main convention for best GM, best player, best in-game event, and several others. Should we be setting up a specific prize pool that's teen-focused? And then just kind of to follow that, any other thoughts, tips, suggestions, and feedback will be taken with the utmost care and attention. Like the gaze of a harrier upon the rabbit on the moors, I'll achieve about 60% accuracy and no doubt rip it to shreds before I consume it.
Amazing.
Thanks in absentia for what I am about to receive. And remember, if you can't be good at it. Karaku. P.S. Sorry I've not used a question mark throughout. A ruinous teen has broken the key. I don't believe it was grammatical overuse.
Amazing. I love prizes. However, I don't think, and this might just be my opinion, but I don't think handing out like best player or best GM to teenagers is a good idea
No.
because they will take it right to heart
Mhm.
and be like, I got bad grade in being a D&D player.
Yeah. Or what do I have to do to win?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, which is not really what we want from them. But if you did stuff like, you know, highest roll or first natural 20
Yeah.
or what else? Best dressed. No. Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Well, you're thinking, one of the things I love at Strategicon that they do, and it's silly, but it makes me really happy, is if you GM a game, like they give you a D6 that has like the con and the dates on it.
That kind of thing's really nice.
And it's just like, and now you get one or two, and it's just silly. But now I have a collection going
Love
back
that.
like over a decade of like me GMing. So I have all these dice from 3 times a year and the little dates on them. And it's just fun. And every time they get different colors.
Yeah.
So like if you can afford it, like it's not super expensive to get D6s made with a logo on one side of it. It's really, really cheap actually. You can get tons of them. So honestly, just giving everybody one of those or giving at least everyone who GMs one.
Steffi just blew it up.
Yep.
Best critical or first crit
Critical
fail.
Yeah.
Reward failure. Reward talking to the experience points.
Yeah.
Or even that for every game.
Yeah.
Like if you have just like sets of cheap dice or like, because you can get dice for less than $1, like a whole set of
Sure,
dice for
yeah.
less than $1.
Yeah.
Or like one die that has like the con date or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, every DM gets to like, or GM, hopefully there's more than just D&D, you know.
Yeah.
I can hold it in my heart that there is. But
Oh yeah. Minimum damage.
yeah, like okay, they give this to the kid who gets the highest roll, or the most damage or whatever. Like have a couple of them that like so multiple people even at each table get to feel like, oh, that's awesome, and there's kind of like
Yeah.
excitement at the table when that happens.
Love that.
What if there was also like a raffle and you have to be present to win it? Like,
That will be, I mean, maybe not, but I would fail at that. And I'm
well, everyone but the person who wins fails at the raffle, but it's purely random. So it's just like, hey, or we're gonna every hour, right? So it's 6 hours, and we're gonna give out 6 of these prizes, and everyone's who's here, we're gonna call one until we get someone who's here. So it also would encourage teens to like be in the room where it happens.
I will also recommend, as someone who's worked for a few different TTRPG publishing companies, if you reach out and you say, I'm putting on like kids-based events or youth-based events and I'm trying to encourage people to play games and we'd love to run your game there, they will send you product.
They will.
Or they will send you steep discounts for product, or they'll send you PDFs and things like that. So any kind of giveaway that you can do where you say like, hey, we're playing this indie game, you get a PDF copy of the game if you play it. So if you enjoy it, you can bring it back to your friends. That's a great reward for players and a great way to incentivize, I don't know, just like not even sponsorships, but like partnerships, both with like indie designers and with, you know, passing it forward for people to teach others to play. So
That's a brilliant idea. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, because I mean as like gamers, excuse me, as gamers we're somewhat jaded a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll play that. Let me see. Like if you tell a kid you're getting a whole free game, even if it's a PDF version.
Yep.
Like that seems like so much to them. They're very excited, especially if they start going through and most of them are beautiful. They've got art and they're like
Yep.
100, 200 pages long.
I would donate to that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah,
So that's a brilliant idea.
Hell yeah.
cool.
On to the next.
And I don't think we can come up with a brilliant name for you. I'm sorry. But you should do a
our
contest
best.
and see if it get this. But I do like the misadventure. Like there's something there.
Right,
there.
Yeah, Misadventure Zone is fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, very much.
I like that. Yeah.
Am I next up on the
Sure,
reading the
if you
mailbag?
want to, yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. Dear Happy Jacks crew, well, finally sitting down to finish an email to you. I have a few drafts I started floating around electronically, but after seeing people at Big Bad Con,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I'm just going to sit down and send an email no matter how short to you all. And on that note, it was great to meet everyone that I was able to run into at Big Bad Con, and I'm sorry for not being able to meet everyone from the community that was there. I really enjoyed Big Bad Con, lots of great games and people. It's hard to not ramble at length about both.
Mood.
The only games I was in that I felt I had issues with were those I was actually running. My Under Hollow Hills game, PBTA Fairy Circus from the Bakers, good. In the last time slot only had 2 players show up. They were both on the quieter side to start, but I think we were all tired at the end of the con. Real. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I was worried as we took our break that I hadn't pulled them in. Things turned around as we came back and started the performance and reminded me why I love Under Hollow Hills. Dice rolls went for and against the PCs, but the session ended with all of us laughing and enjoying the game as the PCs dealt with misfortune and put together a successful enough show to get out of the swamp.
Nice.
Amazing.
Here I would like to apologize to everyone who played in my JackerCon Under Hollow Hills game. I totally messed up the circus power rules.
I've never done that.
Oh.
I've never messed up rules at a con ever. Getting back on track, so that game pulled together, but my other con game didn't quite do the same. We wrapped it up a little early as one player wasn't feeling well, but in general, I could just feel the players weren't into the game. I know this is extremely vague, but for my first question, I thought I would ask about any general suggestions for trying to pull characters back into a game, particularly at a con or one-shot, when you can tell they haven't gotten into the game yet. Again, I apologize for a vague, ill-defined question.
Ooh,
It's a
okay.
pretty good question.
Mhm.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I haven't run too many games at cons, but I've definitely come across like walking up to the table and realizing that there was a lot of disparate energy, maybe some people who were more excited, some people who were on the quieter side. And the thing that I always love to do in the beginning is to like, ask their experience with playing games and try to like get a little bit there of like what they've enjoyed about those games before at cons. And then if I don't get the information from that question, I'll just come right out once everyone is at the table and be like, so like, what do we like about playing games? Like, what's the thing that we most enjoy? And that way you can make yourself a little cheat sheet for ways that these people are going to enjoy your game.
Yeah.
I will also say, as someone who ran a game on the last day of Big Bad Con, that it can be tough to muster up the energy after a lot of con going and socializing and all of that. So, just off the bat, Tom, I do not think that you did a bad job.
Not on you. Yeah.
It really is not on you. Like, people don't always recognize their own capabilities. And even if they show up, like, maybe a quieter game is what they needed, not a higher energy game. So, one of my recommendations, kind of to Sarah's point, is if you gauge the energy level and you recognize that people are really not going to be able to bring it, which I also did for I've done for some of my con games, I actually say like, hey, we're going to have 2 breaks. We are going to maybe lean back a little bit on some of these intense role-playing elements or mechanics. We're just going to kind of chat about character ideas that we like. We're going to kind of loosely skim over some parts, and then we're just going to lean in on things that you're actually having a good time with. If you're tired, we can also cut and end early. So like shortening a game and saying it's okay to skim over things is really helpful. Don't feel like you have to fill in all the dead space with being really excited and energetic. Like you can match their energy level too.
Yeah, and giving them options to be honest about where they are is such a relief because they're probably feeling the pressure to perform too. Like they're just like, oh man, I know I'm feeling like so drained. I can't think of how to make this character like they're struggling with the exact reflection of what you are. So just like Alex said, like just give them permission to be a little chill, and they will love you. They will love that.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I know we've said cut yourself a little bit of slack. Like, they can be down energy for so many reasons.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
They could have forgot their ADHD meds. They could have been playing till 3 a.m. and they still showed up at your 9 a.m. game, right? Like, that's love.
It's huge.
Yeah.
They have given you everything they could give. And to just accept that in the spirit that it's already been brought in, as the phrase goes, is a gift in its own right.
Yeah.
To be able to run with that. I also like, I think unfortunately, the game I have run the most at cons is my game.
That's not unfortunate. That's
And-
like
Great.
Well, I mean, I want to run other stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like, I wish I'd run other stuff. But the point is, I've had some success because I knew the game so well, I could sit down and say, so, what do you like about mythology? And if everybody at the table's like, I love Percy Jackson, I don't tell them, well, that's not actually my favorite book series, and this doesn't have anything to do with that. I go, cool, what do you love about Percy Jackson? And that's fine. Like, you don't have to also, this is just general advice. When somebody says they like something, you don't have to tell them that you don't like it. That's
Good advice.
don't yuck their yum.
Yeah, it's for free. You could just keep it to yourself. But then also, if I have a table full of people go like, American gods, all of the suffering, like, cool, I know where this is going. And if 2 people say American gods and 2 people say Percy Jackson, they have to look at each other.
Yeah,
Right?
you gotta have a conversation there.
Right. But they're now everybody's on the same page of like, ooh, we wanted different things. What are we going to do about that? And I've got some tools for that too. But a lot of that comes from I've not been brave enough to take a game to con that I didn't know inside and out. And I'm not saying people shouldn't just go cold read a new game. Like, that sounds fun too. But the benefit of knowing the themes inside and out and being able to ask the players, like, so what do you like about superheroes? You know, just knowing whether they like DC or Marvel tells you a ton about how your Masks game should go.
I have a funny little short story in relation to that, which is I ran a game at PAX Unplugged last year, and it was set to be, I think, Alien. And I showed up to the table, and I had been teaching myself Alien like the night before, and it was kind of scattered, but I had prepped all of that. And the table showed up and said, okay, we're here for Morkborg.
Oh,
And I knew I was supposed to run Morkborg later that day, but I hadn't read the system. I knew nothing about Morkborg. And so I sat down at the table and I said, I can run you through Alien, even though that wasn't what you signed up for. Or if you give me 15 minutes and you are very patient with my ability to run this game, we can play Morkborg. And we sat and we had a conversation. They said, actually, we really want to play Morkborg.
yeah.
So they went off for 20 minutes and then came back after I had skimmed through the rules, which you should not do that for like a big, thick game like Pathfinder.
No,
You know,
no, no.
Be honest about your ability.
Not gonna work.
But if it's a shorter game that you know, let the players know that you just got to step away or that you are not ready. But also, I think one of the reasons it's really great to run a game that you know inside and out is that it's really hard to teach players thick, difficult mechanics and have them read through stuff at a con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So explaining the rules to
Or,
them somewhere. I
or
think
at
will
an
help.
actual play that you've been running for 15 sessions.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I know the rules for you.
No, I know. You're
I'm a nerd.
And also, just as a little button, Big Bad Con was one of the most exhausting, most amazing, but most exhausting conventions I've ever been to. So low energy players is not a surprise.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A lot of us were up very late.
Yeah.
I think one of the strategies, because I do want to also give you some strategies, not just be like, it's fine.
You're okay.
It's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think it was fine, and I think you can like be nice to yourself, but especially at tables where I have a low number of people, I try to engage them more. But like Alex was saying, it's really important to do it at their energy level. So like calmly, okay, you walk into the room, what do you notice? So then they're starting to add to the fiction. It starts increasing their investment, and it also lets them point it in a direction. Like if they're gonna fight, if they're interested in a fight, they're gonna start noticing things in the room that lead to fighting.
Yeah.
Generally, and that's just like psychology. And if they're not, they're gonna notice. If they're really tired, they're gonna like, I noticed there's a big soft chair. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, and that's gonna take
Fuck
you.
yeah.
And that's
It's going
gonna.
to take you to nap time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's gonna direct where you should kind of direct your game too. Because sometimes in the middle of it, you suddenly realize, okay, the energy level's not going up. So like asking them for input without putting them like on the spot to solve things, like just saying, what do you notice, is something really simple, because there's not like a wrong answer to that.
Yeah.
And it's very open-ended, and they can give a low energy answer if they're feeling low energy. It's not like they come up to you and ask what what you've been doing all day, and then they have to give like this monologue about and like
Yeah.
keep the questions like low key and pretty chill so that they can do that. But you might see as they are starting to contribute and as they're being kind of pulled into creating the fiction with you, that their energy level starts to go up and their investment starts going up.
Yeah. So many players have not had an opportunity to help describe the game and the setting. Where, I've had players at a con be like, no one's asked me to help describe this before. Like, what is happening right now? And it was also their first PBTA game. So, like, this is a whole different kind of scenario.
Yeah.
But, like, being open to that, I also have had players who are like, I don't know what to describe. That's your job.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Fair enough.
that's cool.
Some
Yeah.
players will not be able to answer a question on the spot.
Yeah, and they
won't
don't want to, and that's okay, right? But, yeah.
Very big.
Also, it was really great to meet you, by the way. Just thank you for hanging out. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was great. Thanks for hanging out with us, Tom.
Next part, I am looking for potentially another con to try to attend. Big Bad Con is the only one on my regular schedule. And between looking at other local cons in the Bay Area or maybe a little further out, I was wondering about Strategicon
Well,
Yeah.
or the other LA cons. Are there any in particular the advice crew would recommend, as well as any other suggestions for attendance? Hotels, planning for someone coming in and out of the immediate area, etc. To wrap up, I wanted to say how grateful I am for the Happy Jacks community. My schedule makes gaming really difficult. It has been great to be able to play in games online with such wonderful people at JackerCon and the various game days. And that's in addition to all the great podcast content. Thanks again, Tom, Stinky Fool from the Discord. That's a great username.
Yeah.
Super good.
P.S. Thank you to Kadave for the drink at BBC. P.P.S. Drink an inappropriate number of times.
Woohoo!
all right.
Yay.
I mean, we're biased.
I recommend Strategicon 3 times a year. It helps with doctor prognoses.
Play
It,
testing.
it helps with the roofing situation in your housing. Your roof will be sturdier and keep the rain out better.
This
incredible.
is a great con.
Yeah, but only if you go 3 times a year. So
Very fair.
it'll also refresh the tires on your car. So
I need that.
yeah.
I mean, okay, so we like Strategicon. It is our go-to local con. It's actually bigger than Big Bad Con, even though it doesn't feel it because, well, it feels like it because it seems more crowded because the hotel is smaller space. It's not as as voluptuous with square footage.
Voluptuous is a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Thanks. But it's literally at LAX. So if you fly into LAX, there's a little shuttle that takes you right there. It's down the street, a couple blocks. The hotel is fine. It's fine. I wish the bar didn't wait till 4 p.m. to open, but
Fine.
yeah, it's fine. But it's a great
Precisely.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very if you've gone to cons before, it's very easy to figure out. There's no mystery. It's run very traditionally like a con with signups ahead of time, and there's a dealer room, and there's all the different types of games ever. There's a big war game section, and so they have everything.
games.
Board games, tons of board games. So there's a lot of things there. If you have family that you want to bring with you that aren't into gaming, it's LA, so there's stuff for them to do. It's right by the beach.
Good. I want to mention something. I haven't seen it at other cons, which doesn't mean they don't do it. But so Strategicon you can sign up for events ahead of time online. That's fine. But then when games are running during the day, specifically for tabletop RPGs, they open up a notebook with paper in it, right? And there's a list of each game, and it's all ordered by time. And the games that are running now are all out on the table. And you could just walk by and look at them. You don't have to get your con notebook out. You don't have to look up online on your screen.
Nice.
And you could just walk by and go ooh, they have an open seat. And you write your name down on a piece of paper and go over there and make sure they still have an empty seat. And if you're
And
like
wait
me,
lists.
yeah, and wait
Love a wait
lists.
list.
Yeah.
Where if somebody doesn't show up, then you can just hop into that game and wait politely. And I haven't seen a lot of other cons do a paper sign up, and I think some of it is an artifact of the fact that this con has been running for 100 years since the before times, but it's an artifact that I hope stays, right? Not everything that's old is bad, people. You can't just throw me in the dumpster. But
It's just so easy.
yeah.
Like, and they have it actually, the pages are color coded depending on what
Yeah.
type of game it is.
Yes.
That's
So you
great.
go up and you're like, oh, these are all the RPGs that are yellow paper
Yeah.
and stuff. So it's really fast. It's easy to do if you have an empty spot in your thing. And it's also super easy to, if you don't feel well, if you're tired, like what we were just talking about, you can go up and scratch your name off real easy.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
That's
everybody
great.
can see like, oh, okay, that's an empty seat. So it's not like
that
people are
person
left
is
hanging.
a flake.
I love when cons have a way
Too
to
bad we
tap
can't
out
have
of a game.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that as a GM because I run so many games there, and sometimes people just come scratch their name out, and sometimes people will like go and add their name, or you at least you just know so you're not waiting for them,
Right.
which is such a big thing.
Yeah.
I am not as familiar with many of the West Coast cons, but I will say if you're able to get out to PAX Unplugged, there are some great groups that run games out there. I have had a very positive experience GMing out there, and Philly's a great city. So
Philly,
there are a lot
okay.
of hotel options and Airbnb options around there.
Yeah, and it's huge. It's very big.
Yeah.
It's very
That's a
big.
big boy.
Yeah, this one.
But
one
it can be a
big
bit
piece.
of a trip if you're coming from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
Little
drive.
bit of a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do our last mailbag here?
I mean, you can hang out with us again if you're going to Strategicon. Let's like be
Yes.
honest. Like that's the real selling point of Strategicon.
Yeah.
Come say hi.
Is like,
Have a beer with us.
yes, drink with us
Or whatever you like.
or
to
whatever.
drink.
You don't
Yeah.
have to actually drink. Yeah, I mean, water would be fine. It's
Yeah.
drinking. Yeah.
Mailbag number 3. Greetings, Kimmy the Magnificent and her slightly less magnificent, but still better than just okay crew. So, our group just started a new Arabian Nights campaign run in Prowlers and Paragons, a supers-oriented system that tries to strike a balance between storytelling and crunch, and does a pretty good job of it, in my humble opinion. A plucky gang of thieves up against a nasty tyrant. In the back and forth of the session 0, I ended up creating a Jasmine-like princess/thief with a sprinkling of Azula, who was also the daughter of said tyrant. Daughter of a villain. Awesome. This is a brilliant idea. Definitely a different sort of PC for the game, but I went for it, and it had a very cool effect. All of a sudden, the evil for evil's sake tyrant was also daddy, which already was. Is
Yeah.
everybody okay? Or we're okay. Plans to just assassinate the tyrant get vetoed. Questions into reasons for his actions lead to tragic love stories and manipulations by others. This is everything.
Yes.
So it got me thinking. Usually, the big bad evil guy is always off in the distance, doing evil for evil's sake. They're too powerful for the PCs to take on directly, or if they aren't, PCs kill them right quick. We don't get to know them at all. Frequently, the first meeting between the PCs and the BBEG is the boss fight at the end of the campaign. But I'm sure that's not always the case. So my question, have you had experiences where you really get to know the BBEG? What are some tricks or tips for GMs to give their villains more depth and character? Discuss. Thanks, Terrellin. P.S. Well, you said you need more emails. P.P.S. Drink! Mine's empty.
Yeah.
P.P.P.S. Go GURPS!
Go GURPS.
Yeah.
O.P.P.P.S. Cheers to the toddler whose name rhymes with mine.
Good.
Yes. Oh, that means I said it right.
Yeah.
As I said Torlin, I was like, I don't know if I said it right, but I'm going for it.
She had like the best day ever today. We went to the pumpkin patch and she got to do a pony ride.
Yeah,
Pumpkin
that would be the
patch.
best day ever for me now.
I want to
So,
go to the
yeah.
pumpkin patch immediately. I was saying to Sarah earlier,
Yeah.
if I don't go apple picking this fall, I'm
Ooh,
done.
if we're, can we go?
Yes,
Hell
we
yeah.
can go
Okay.
apple
Gosh.
picking.
My partner
Happy
also
Jack's
likes
pumpkin
apple.
patch?
Yes, yeah, let's go.
So good.
Oh, someone actually this week was talking to me about an apple picking thing that's pretty close.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so let's do that
Please.
immediately.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm glad we did this on the podcast so everyone can know that we're picking apples and
Yes.
with me
Well,
not remembering
they can
the
meet
name
up
of the
with
place.
us.
Send us an email if you want to
Yeah.
apple pick.
Yeah.
So, sexy BBEGs. Wait, was that what the
I
question was
feel
about?
like this question, it could be asking one of two things. So maybe we should answer both, which is the one is how do you give them the depth and experience so that the villain turns into daddy? And the other one being like, how do you give a villain depth and character without them turning into daddy?
We
You
could
know,
keep
like
saying
how
that.
do you give them depth and character and not have your players simp after them? And I do
Yeah.
have an answer for that final one and for the first one, but I'll let you go, Jason.
No, I'm just dying every time you say daddy. So
Daddy.
please say your thing.
I
Oh, good.
No. I just wanted to be excited about
Underwood Farms. That's it. Thanks.
Oh, very nice. So for this is actually very interesting that you're saying that you're playing a PC whose father is the evil one, because this is very close to the villain story that I'm about to tell, in which this villain can die in a fire. I hate him. Go away. And there's no way. He's very handsome. Don't get me wrong. I still hate him. And it is not my PC, but my PC's romantic interest NPC's father. And Alex knows this very well because
Daddy's daddy.
because he runs the game for me. I can't believe your face is
Oh,
blank
boy.
right now. It's Tyra's dad.
Oh, Tyra's dad.
Cyrus.
Yes. Okay.
And I think whenever you're trying to give a villain depth without creating a simpable character, you need to examine what can be evil without being like triggering or problematic in a way that cannot be justified actioned. So if it's like, oh, he wants to kill this person because they murdered his wife, it's like, oh, well, now I care about him.
Yeah.
Whereas with this villain that was created, he is actively sucking the life energy out of his daughter because he's afraid to die because he fucked around and got a curse. So, like, there's no way to justify that. You're messing with your child, and that, it's irredeemable.
Yeah.
And she's not a child anymore, by the way. She's a full adult.
I mean, it's still his child.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like harm to children is a thing for me, so I wanted to like so there are definitely prompts that you can have that are like, these are things that in no way can your players feel like they are justified, and no matter what they get to know about the villain, that guy's gotta go down.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a simpable villain, just build in those tragic backstories, build in those justifications. Like, oh, he had to murder these people because they killed his wife and kicked his company. I was going to say dog, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Now that you've reminded me of that, Sarah, very excited to mention Simon on the podcast. But
Simon.
I am always of the opinion that people have a reason for doing something, and finding the reason that they're doing something makes for a more interesting story. I am not like an inherent fan of evil for evil's sake, although I will not begrudge. Like, sometimes you just need a force of evil, and there are plenty of like just dark shadows crossing a world, or faceless mega corporations where you just need something to be evil so you can beat it up. And that
Yeah.
feels
Have
good,
a
and that
reason,
feels
and the
great.
reason is love money.
The reason is love money, and
Yeah.
like we can all agree capitalism sucks.
Yeah.
Right. But the finding a reason without having the PCs inherently like change the story, maybe you do. There are plenty of times where it's great to have we are redeeming the villain, but there are other times where, for whatever reason, you really do want to tell the narrative of we're overcoming this villainous thing. So you want to find a reason that is understandable, but if the PC was given a chance to have that reason, they might not make the same choice. Because we all have our moments under duress where we would make a bad choice. But, for example, if it's about getting revenge, or if it's about being afraid, being cowardly, there are plenty of things that people lack the ability to like be strong enough to face that might mean they make the wrong decision in a moment. So finding a reason that says they made the wrong choice morally, but we understand why they did it, is a great way to remove that simp nature. I do think cowardice. I do think lack of understanding. I do think selfishness. Like all these things that are not, they don't make someone irredeemable, but they do say at a certain point you've taken it too far. We cannot follow you down that road. We cannot understand why you've made all of these choices over and over again. That helps with the, we can redeem them vibe.
I can fix him.
Yeah.
I like to think about how the villain thinks of themselves, right? Like, nobody is a villain in their own story. I think most villains. I think there are the villains who've kind of lost their minds, right? But one of my favorite things to think about is somebody's made a selfish, crappy decision, and like a particular righteous mindset, once you break the seal on Breaking Bad and do the wrong thing, you land in, well, fuck it. Nothing matters now because I'm going to hell or whatever, right? Like, I'm already a bad person. There's nothing. And then there's two ways from that. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to make up for it. Or, here we go. Strap in.
I'm on the roller coaster.
And finding that path, I think, can be really, really interesting. And yeah, that's what made me think of that.
Yeah. If you want the players to not fall in love with Daddy Bad Person, have the bad person hurt the PCs. Like directly harm them or the people in their backstory or something like that. Obviously, use your safety tools. Be careful with that.
Yeah.
But if you make, like, he has a vengeance, like, great. Okay, they can be very sympathetic to that until you engage their need for vengeance. And then that immediately will cut down, at least by 50%, depending on how attractive the big bad is, their chance of falling in love with them. But
I also think just I enjoy what I'm doing can be enough to kind of color that, because there are things we can understand that are justified or like have a reason, but then we don't expect people to enjoy them. So
Right.
if it's like I'm getting revenge for my dead wife and I discover that I've always like loved this and I'm so fueled by this engine and it's like it's my purpose, that's where we can see the okay. Are you okay? Like what's up with that?
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I do think that it's a really interesting part of this question about like not encountering the BBEG until the very end, because I've played in a lot of games where the evil that was like endgame was very ever present and was something that was encountered not necessarily directly, but we saw its machinations in the world and we saw the effects that were working out into different things. And so I think that a good depth and character for villains is to think about how their influence ripples out into other things. Like a town has a supply chain problem because this villain cut off like this bridge and didn't allow any travel to pass through it. Or you were just about to get this great MacGuffin, and right as you almost got your hand on it, a rebel band that was employed by the big bad took it away from your grasp. Like, there's lots of ways to seed a villain into the world without having people directly encounter them.
Yeah, and have them reach out directly to the party. Like letters, creepy letters, magical orbs with like holograms. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of ways in all of it. So that way they're having direct communication sometimes without the thing where you put your big bad right in front of them and then they kill them and you're like, well, now Emperor Palpatine's dead. Now where does the story go?
Somehow he returned.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like again, like be aware that whenever you put something actually physically where the party can attack it, it might die.
Right.
So like weave that in using the magic or whatever from the system that you're using, so that they have direct like back and forth, maybe mocking them or like angry or whatever it is.
Fantasy Zoom call.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of monologuing during, via hologram or whatever it is from the big bad can like go a long way.
It also might be fun. This doesn't work in all contexts, but I have used this a couple times of letting the players know, like, this is a cutscene that none of you are present for.
Yeah.
But I want you to know what's going on.
I love that,
And-
yeah.
And describe some of it. And like the audience knows this. And you, the players, are also the audience. So I'm asking you to keep this knowledge separate, right? But here is the scene with the guy.
I love doing like a season finale zoom out where we learn what the villain's been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And you see them in their lair. That's one of my favorite
You
things.
do those a lot in game.
I love
will
it.
say. And I love them. Like at the end of every movement of a campaign, Alex will have a few cutscenes that are always very enchanting and are kind of like a peek at what the next villain is up to. And it gets me really excited every time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I also think asking about experiences where people do get to know the BBEG, one of my one of the clearest cut examples to me is the idea of a BBEG who's hidden and tricking the party. So you have a character that's very dear to them, then turns out that they're
Yeah.
evil. People just love that. Like, that is a big favorite cliche for a lot of people, as long as you've checked that they're okay with, like, betrayal. Make sure that that's cool. But there are I want to think of, like, other examples where you have a character who's close to the party but not inherently lying to them. But I do think someone that they might have a lot of face-to-face with. And some good examples are characters with power over other characters. So I'm thinking the mayor of a town, not the president of the country. Or the, like, person who is, I don't know, like a terrible lawyer or something who's working with the party very frequently, but always on the opposite side. So you can have those, like, known characters who are actively engaging, but are not so evil that they, like, wouldn't be around here, and not so powerful that they wouldn't interact directly. But those kind of, like, slightly closer so they know the face.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the king's advisor who like is the go-between or whatever. Those are usually pretty safe to have like betray because it's not really a betrayal because you're like, we
All
don't
right,
really.
yeah.
You're an acquaintance, not a
That
friend.
guy kind of sucked anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
whatever.
You kind of hesitate to hit like confirm on like their friend request. You're like,
Yeah.
guess I know them. Okay.
I can always block them later.
You're
Yeah.
so heartbroken that I'm stabbing you in the back. The king's cat sitter. Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
bringing it up on social media. What's your last name? Sorry, I don't remember. Oh, that's your last name.
Familial relationships. Like you said here, you had a direct relationship to the BBEG. It doesn't have to be super direct. It could just be the father of a love interest or the cousin who
Direct.
the cousin who just like is traveling to the same location that you're going to and says, "Can I be along for the ride?" Someone that you don't inherently have to jump to defend, but who they know or they know of.
Yeah.
Maybe even like someone who's kind of famous
Yeah.
for
Oh,
a good thing.
Yeah, famous hero or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, that can be really fun. Also, if you are going to do like a betrayal kind of thing and everyone's on board for that, really encourage you to remind the players that you're not going to lie to them, but the character might,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? And that distinction is important.
Yeah, that's
Um,
big.
And I think a lot of GMs mess that up, frankly. Like,
Yeah.
they will lie to their players out of character, right? And that's where players end up feeling let down or betrayed by their DM.
Jason,
Right.
you're a great GM. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I agree. That is great advice. That's something that I've messed up a few times when I was
Well, under the
learning to
table,
be a
yeah.
good GM.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we beat this question to death, but I want to say, like, also a surefire way to make sure that people don't simp after your character, which is more fun, to simp after them or to hate them.
Yeah.
Because if it's a character you love to hate, oh, you never want to let go of that. It feels good.
Yeah.
It's cathartic.
They'll double down on that every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am also interested in, especially depending on the system, a BBEG that in many ways is not romanceable, but is like a force or a like a large corporation, for example, things like that. That maybe
So
like,
I can't romance Rise Corporation.
I mean, you could try.
That's been end season for me, actually.
Yeah. Be careful with things like plagues, obviously,
Yeah.
these days.
Mm.
But I do think that a BBEG that is connected to the party in some very intimate ways, but also is not like a face, is really fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Especially if you do have, again, if it's something like a zombie apocalypse spreading, characters who represent that force, but who are also being carried along by the wave of what it's doing and how it's changing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the person who accidentally started the apocalypse is a great villain
Mhm.
because you are so frustrated at them, but then you also might see like, hey, I wish this didn't happen. I didn't need to do this, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, I love things that are like what you're saying, forces of nature. Like I've been in games where there's like corruption that's slowly seeping in, and like you'll pick up items that are then like kind of like cursed and like start affecting the players. And there's not one source of it. It's like a thing that's an elemental force in the world that you can take out certain people who happen to be really influenced by it, but there's like not really a winning that, you know?
Yeah.
I just remembered a favorite villain of mine from years ago,
Mm-hmm.
who was like trying to do a big spell. Oops, apocalypse, right? But that spell, that effect split him into good person, bad person.
Ooh.
Like when Superman the splits in the movie, and there's like good Superman, bad Superman. Or it's like good, bad Superman and useless Clark Kent, like no powers, whatever. And the
Not useless.
yeah, so the good one,
Useful is the morals.
the good one came to the party. Was like, look, I need to tell you about this villain who's doing terrible, terrible things, and I need your help because they've drained my power, and I can't do it by myself. Does not reveal that it's him, but
Yeah.
also the party had to decide at some point, like if they kill the evil villain, this guy's also gonna die unless I can find some way to merge them back together.
There's always a
And-
third way.
And that's I don't know. That was like a high point for me. I can't believe I forgot about it. Like that was a really
It's a
fun
good
time.
one.
That's
Good.
very cool. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Are we set?
We did it.
I
We
think we're
did
good.
it.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all for your amazing emails. Thank you for joining us for Season 32, Episode 21. Please support our amazing indie designer of the month, Monroe Wells Soto, he, they, at monroe.itch.io. Thank you to our chat mod, James V, and to our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent. You can join their amazing ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. The private feed for the Patreons is up now, so you can go and listen to the backlog of many, many years of like 13 years of. There's a lot of content there, and also the new stuff we're releasing, the campaign wrap-up episodes and all that stuff is being dropped on that feed too. My name is Kimmy.
I've been Alex.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Jason.
Today we're going to leave with a song called 500 Miles by a band called the Merry Wives of Windsor.
It's you.
That's me. Yeah, I'm singing in there a couple times. And you can find them at MWOW, merrywivesofwindsor.net. And thank you, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Lord, I'm one, Lord, I'm two, Lord, I'm three, Lord, I'm four, Lord, I'm 500 miles from my home.
When I wake up, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who wakes up next to you.
And when I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who goes along with you.
And when I get drunk, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who gets drunk next to you. And when I haver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who's havering to you. And I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more, just to be the one who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
When I'm working, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who's working hard for you.
Not sure.
And when the money comes in from the work I do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you.
Not a penny
When I come home,